Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining our post show today. We hope that you guys really enjoyed service. Before we go any further, Dave, I know that you're watching. We hope that you feel better as soon as possible. I do want to give a big shout out to Perry. He found out a little less than 24 hours ago that he was going to slide in because unfortunately Dave isn't feeling well. Perry, you did a fantastic job. It was a really good message, especially on such a short notice. So thank you so much, Dave, Perry. You guys are a huge blessing to this church. So just want to give you a huge shout out before we dived into our post show.
I didn't know that. Go Perry.
Yeah,
Wait,
go
so
Perry.
when did he find out?
Like about 24 hours ago.
Oh, okay. I was like,
I found
was
out
he
25 minutes ago I was doing this, so I think
I was thinking like, was he
Sounds
planning to wear the hairy fanny pack no matter what today, or
Maybe he was. Who knows? Maybe that was going to be a Christmas Eve thing and he broke it out early.
yeah?
Anyways, my name is Josh. I have taken hostage all of the pre-show team to join me
Oh my gosh,
today
it is the full-
on the
Pretty much,
post show.
It's the
We got
pre-show team.
Layla, we got Lexy, and we have Andy.
Hello.
Andy is joining us on the post show, so we're destined to get some funny jokes. And
nope.
maybe we'll have a movie review at the very end. Another
Maybe.
one,
I'll
not
think of
from the
one.
pre-show.
Okay.
Might have to throw in a second one.
I'll think of one.
I'll just pull one off my brain and ask you if you've seen it and give a movie review about it.
Okay.
So we'll get there. Before we go any further, though, I do want to give a little bit more of a backstory on the fanny pack that Perry had.
It's very important.
So he won that at our staff Christmas party last year.
Okay.
We're at the DeMott's house with all the elders and all the people on staff.
Nice.
I guarantee I know who brought that as
And
a
when
white
this
elephant gift.
fanny pack comes out, Perry immediately goes, "I'm getting that. Like it's happening." And I've watched him. Like he was a couple of seats down, and he's just counting 1, 2, 3. There's this item. He's talking to Jenna. He's
destiny.
talking to Chelsea. He's like, "How can I trade into this?" And he keeps trading. And then when he gets it, when he talks about how he strutted around, that's literally all he did the rest of the night. He just walked out with his hands on his hips, just showing off his belly button. He went and ate dessert. You could just
How many
his
times
belly.
could you guys trade? So he had to do math and everything?
Yeah,
too?
he had to do math to end up getting it. But
Committed.
he was like, "I'll steal this from you, then Jenna will steal it from him, and then I'll get the fanny pack like this." And he ended up getting the fanny pack. So it's a really
I appreciate
fun story.
Perry's commitment.
So yeah, he was very committed to getting the fanny pack.
I was disappointed though that he didn't keep it on for the whole service.
Yeah.
It would have been very distracting, though.
Yeah, like whenever that zipper
In the
gets hidden,
best
you would
way.
think it might be his actual belly.
Okay, so what does this fanny pack look like?
It's like a
belly
belly.
I didn't watch the service. I was chatting with people.
It's a
Yeah.
belly with a hairy belly button. Yep.
Yes.
Who put
Dead
that in the
serious.
white elephant?
I
guarantee
can't
Steve
remember.
did.
I can't remember
guarantee
who
it had to
brought.
be Steve.
No, I remember Steve brought a 3D printed lobster.
Okay, that seems right, too.
That's the only gift I remember. I don't even remember what I brought, but I remember
What'd
that
you get?
Steve.
Yeah, I was obsessed.
What did I get?
I mean, Perry
What
got...
did you get?
Did you get the lobster?
No, I wanted the lobster though, but I couldn't. Mathematically
big was the
get
lobster?
The lobster was actually a pretty decent sized lobster. It was like that big.
I
It was
think-
really
and
cool.
I think the actual tail was, like, articulated. It could
Yeah,
move.
it was really cool.
do you know
Steve,
that?
if we do a white elephant again,
Steve,
do a
you show
lobster
me.
so I can
He's
get
like,
the lobster.
Look what I made
want
for
it.
the thing. I was like...
Oh, you know that was Steve's
Yeah.
item. Okay, okay.
I was
Yeah.
like, does that tail move? But when I heard there was a fanny pack that had a belly on it, I'm like, Steve probably brought that.
Yep,
too.
and Perry immediately said he's using this as a sermon illustration one day, and didn't see it until
at that.
today.
A
And
year
whenever
later.
he said, I won this gift, I said, "Oh my gosh, it's the fanny pack." Jenna's sitting in front of me at first service. She went, "No, no." So
funny.
that's a little bit more of a backstory about the fanny pack. And before we hop into this last question, I'm just going to real fast ask each one of you, what's the worst Christmas gift you've ever gotten?
Oh, I feel.
Cool.
I'll jump in because I feel bad saying this, but Grandma's probably not watching. When I was 16, we were at the Gorham family Christmas. I'm excited. I open up a gift, and there is a Michigan sweatshirt. I was like, sweet. And then you continue it with a giant Tweety bird on it. But not only Tweety bird, but like a stuffed Tweety bird. So it was like padded. So you wore it, and the Tweety bird stuck out further. I was like
3D.
thanks, Grandma. I'm 16 years old. Never going to wear this and get made fun of in my life.
Well, mine continues the theme of grandma gift.
Mine is
Every-
also for my grandma.
I can't wait
great.
to be a grandma. My kids better have kids so that I can like do weird things and just be weird.
We can
But
do weird things now, too.
Yeah,
our
I was
kids.
gonna
It is
say you
better
don't need
when it's
grandkids to do that,
It's
Layla.
even better when you're a grandma or grandpa because it's like it's your right. That's what you're supposed to do. But we every year would get what we would call stinky beads, and they're like the margarita bead type of necklaces, but they smelled so bad. Like, I just talking about it, I can smell them.
And you got those every year?
Every year.
Why every year?
Beads, I don't know.
Interesting.
But the stinky beads, man.
Where'd she get them from? Do you know?
I don't know, but I've gotten other type of like, of these like necklaces at other events, and they don't stink, but my grandma's, they were stinky. At Beals, that was this big store that my grandma liked to go to. I don't think we have them up here in Michigan. She lives in Florida, or lived in Florida. She's passed away, but maybe Beals.
Maybe?
I don't know.
I don't know. When I go there in a couple weeks, I'll search out a Beals and see if I can find some.
Yes, go sniff around.
Andy will be back on the post show in a month. Hey guys, I got
found
the
'em.
beads.
Are these stinky enough?
What about you, Lexy?
Okay, so grandma gifts also.
Yeah.
You know how if you're like into something, people are like, oh, I'll get them that type of thing. Like, I'm a dancer. I've danced my whole life. So like people are like, oh, I'll get her something dance related. But like that doesn't mean I'm going to like everything dance related. Like most dance stuff is like very corny and cheesy, and I don't want it, right?
Yeah.
That goes for most things. So I had a phase in middle school where I was obsessed with cats. I had like a crazy cat lady
where this
phase.
is going.
And I like was so proud of this. There was a year where I wore something with a cat on it every single day. Whether that was socks, a shirt, leggings.
Like any duplicates, or was it a different item every day?
It wasn't. I do not have that many cat items.
I didn't know. You said it was a
But every
crazy
every
obsessive
single
phase.
day
That's-
there was something on my body that had cats on it. Earrings, whatever it was.
Okay.
And I was like so proud of this, okay? And because like I loved cats, my grandma's like, oh, like I'll get her stuff with a cat on it.
Of course.
And
And
you
that
guys
stuff always looks cool.
you guys know like the t-shirts and sweatshirts that you see at like gas stations or
Yeah.
Walmarts, and it's like the animals, like the live looking animals,
Yes.
and like
It's like airbrush and everything.
they're
looks
really
all cool.
ugly. They're really bad. Like not tastefully done at all. My grandma gets me this cat sweatshirt, and it's like a brown, and then the whole thing is like a live, like a realistic cat's face.
Whoa.
Yes.
Like a picture.
It was
yeah.
the most heinous sweatshirt I've ever seen in my life, and I did not hide it well when I opened the gift. And my mom pulled me aside afterwards, and she's like, she was so pissed at me. She's
You
like,
better be nice.
She's like, you looked so ungrateful for that. I'm like, Mom, if you opened that,
a cat.
what would you have done? Like, it was so ugly, and I didn't want. And I'm like a very truthful person. Like, I do not lie. So to me, as a middle schooler, I'm like, I didn't want to be insincere and been like, I love it, thank you so much. But like that was a lie. I didn't love it so much, and I didn't want her to think I liked it, and then her to keep buying me, or like my other family members to keep buying me crap like that when I didn't want it. She's like, there's a way to do it where like you sound thankful. I learned a valuable lesson that Christmas. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's like a perfect moment for a dad joke.
I can't
this
wait to
is
bring you a cat sweatshirt next week.
Perfect.
Oh my god.
You still have it?
No, I got rid of it. I think instantly. Maybe I wore it like one time.
I think we need to start wearing
It
cat
was like,
stuff
I
on the
can't do it.
pre-show.
Yes. I
Different.
think we need,
Or
like a
a
cat
theme
month.
for, yeah. I like where this is going. This is going to cost me more money, though.
No.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and
It's like we're changing the topic now.
let's hop into today's message. What stood out to you in today's message? Was there anything that Pastor Perry said that was like, man, that just caught my attention?
It was a great message. I really loved towards the end just the reminder of our purpose. I feel like we've talked about this before, but I go to town when I try to figure out what my purpose is. And it was powerful yet simplistic, right? Being able to share the love of God to others. And it's just so simple, but it's like one of the main things that we're supposed to do. And I often don't think of that when I'm trying to really pick apart, like, what was I saved for, like, right? Because there's a story behind, like, I probably shouldn't be here, but I am, and I always think it should be something really big and grand, but that is really big and grand in itself. And that was a big takeaway for me, like, when you have those moments where it's like, kind of like feel that, like, do I do that as much as I should? Do I take advantage of all of the opportunities that God puts in place for me to, share his love and his words? So that was
For sure. No, that's really good. For me, what stood out to me was actually the two big points that Perry had. So the first one was like, if we give God our faith, he gives us salvation from a miserable eternity. I think for us as people, it's very easy to go, and as believers of Jesus, like our eternity, once we die, has been rescued. Like we are not going to go to hell. We're going to live in heaven with Jesus forever. But we so easily forget that our life on earth is also rescued. Whenever we place our faith in Jesus and the Holy Spirit comes on us, God is always with us. Our eternity with him begins at that moment, which leads into the second point, which was what we forget so often, is that God also rescues us from a meaningless life while we're here on earth, going back to the purpose and the direction. So like for me, it was one of those reminders of that God gives us eternity with him when we're in heaven, but also it starts right now here on earth whenever you make that decision to follow him. So that was the thing that was God just put on my heart today, was just to remember that the eternity starts now, not when we die. So
Yeah,
Same.
take advantage of his goodness here too. Yeah.
Yes,
I love that.
for sure. Anything else to add before we move on to talking a little bit more about how God gives us salvation from a meaningless life?
No, honestly, right now I'm still visualizing the
For
hairy
sure.
fanny pack.
Come on, Perry.
Gonna say,
The hairy fanny
distracting.
pack is going to be burned into us forever.
I think that was the point of it. He wanted you to just keep thinking about
was.
it.
Yes.
no, I'm not thinking
about the
about anything
message.
else he said. I'm not thinking about the mess. I'm thinking about the hairy fanny pack.
I know. I'm like, what?
So
Past that moment.
whenever I saw who the group was today, I went, I know the pre-show people, they love their stories. They love telling stories. Hence why I asked the question. So these next two questions I think are going to be fun, because we're going to get to talk about how we've seen God move in our lives, and we're going to be able to tell some stories with that, which I know with you guys, that's going to be totally okay, because that's you guys' jam. So in what ways have you seen God give you direction? Now, this is tying directly into Perry's point of gaining salvation from a meaningless life, and how God gives us direction and purpose whenever we give him our faith. So in what ways in your life, whether it's recently, whether it was years ago, have you seen God give you direction?
I have just a very broad answer for this. Like
Okay.
nothing from like one particular moment. But in my season of life right now, and any season really, but in my young adult life, I've been questioning a lot, and just questioning if I'm in the right place in life, and if I'm like involved and doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and serving and working where I'm supposed to be. And every time like I get really, really angry or frustrated, I'm like, I hate my life and I'm doing nothing and there's no purpose, and God always meets me in that. Like I get grumpy with him, and then he always meets me and is like, and I have like a phenomenal day where like people show up, or like I go to a grocery store and see somebody that God wanted me to see, or this, or like it just always works that way. And I'm like, every single freaking time, like he shows up and is like, this is what it is. Like something small, and it might seem insignificant, but when they build up over a day, it's like all those little things. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, that like little things can have big purposes, and little things build over time. And he always shows up and is like, you are where you're supposed to be. And even like this morning, I was telling you guys before I came in here, like I was supposed to go and watch our second service, and I was like, my coffee's cold. I'm going to go get a refill. So I go out there to get a refill. The coffee machine has a little Post-it note on it that says not ready yet. So I'm just waiting out there for the coffee to get ready. And there's two middle school girls that are in the cafe. And so I didn't know them. So I just asked their names and started talking to them. But like that coffee was not ready for a reason. I was supposed to be talking to those girls this morning. And I was like, you know what? I just felt like God, an example of that. Like God was like, you're supposed to be out here and you're supposed to be talking to them, and you're supposed to be building fellowship and relationships with them. And like they just I've never talked to these girls before, and they just opened their hearts up to me and shared so much vulnerability. And it was so cool. So the questions about the service today, I'm going to have no answers to, but
Hey,
but I can
was a
share
pretty
stuff
darn
like
good one.
this.
Yeah.
But I can share stuff like this, and yeah, super cool. I had a really cool interaction this morning.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I listened to a sermon yesterday that just reminded me of that on what the guy was talking about on the providence of God and how you can just look at all those small things. And he was lined up with the book of Ruth and how changing of chapters and stories within our lives. But for you, it's like the providence of God. You saw it this morning by going to get coffee and it wasn't there because God had a different direction
Yes.
for that moment.
Yup.
So absolutely. No, that's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Got one? You want me to go?
You can go.
I'll go. Okay. Always been active in the church youth group, for almost over a decade now. But then when our last youth pastor had left, stuff was open. I was like, we don't want this to just fizzle. Put a lot of time into it. God placed it on Angie and I's heart to kind of, try and lead it, which I am not. I know what I'm put on this earth for. It's to hit kids on the head with balls and then get out of there at, just to be there for them, but not to
Parents,
not to lead.
Andy does not intentionally hurt any kids.
I do not.
I don't let him.
They all like me.
He loves them very much. He does. He just makes jokes.
Yeah, I just make jokes about it. But any parent knows it's like, you have that moment when you're just like, what I'm here for. And that was nice to kind of push me out of that comfort zone and try to lead. But then when you came along, I was like, this is exactly what I've been waiting for. Yep. And now, even just this past year, I've been in high school the last 5-6 years. You were like, hey, would you mind leading 6th graders? And I was like, okay. I immediately was going to say yes because you asked. But then you're like, no, think about it. So I was like, all right, I'll take some time. Thought about it, prayed on it. And it was just like, went off. And God was like, yeah, you're going to do this. And sure enough, I've had some of the most fun in the last couple months with just hanging out with 6th graders. Like the last time we met, we had our fun list of, questions. We're going over and we got through 2 of them. And one of them went, can we talk about what we want for Christmas this year? I was like, yes, we most certainly can. Give me a big gift and a small gift. And each kid was just, we kept talking even after other kids came out and started playing ball. And for 6th graders to stay and want to keep talking, I was like, all right, I'm here for a reason. So
yeah,
that might be the most recent one.
That's awesome.
That's good strategy there, putting them with the 6th
Bingo.
graders.
I got the mental capacity of one, so I'll stick with one.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
I'll keep this. Yep.
Moving on, while Josh gets his composure back, I'll share a little bit of the couple
That's our
things that
pre-show
came.
crew.
We're spicy.
I have kind of 2 answers. One I thought of as you were talking, though, because I think the pre-show and the post-show has been, something for me that I've talked about this before, too. I didn't, jump up and be like, hey, pick me. I was the person who was like, please don't pick me. But it's been amazing growing my relationships with everybody on the pre and post show, and then just being able to hear others, I guess, share what they're getting out of it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like full circle moments, and I'm really appreciative of that. But the other thing that came to mind for me is kind of like a bigger topic and just high level. So I've shared this again before too. I've experienced 2 suicides in my family, and this is something that I hold really close to my heart because just statistically, who has that, right? 2, not 1, but 2, and it's been very that is a topic that's very hard to go through. I call it like a hamster wheel because it's really hard to have closure with it. Mm-hmm. And there have been so many people that I've been able to share my story with, and I've gone through a lot of therapy. I've done a lot of research around this topic, and I feel like God wants me to continue to talk about this with others when those opportunities are brought to me. Mm-hmm. And that, again, is a topic that it's hard, right? And especially in the thick of something just happening like that to somebody else. But I think it's a perfect example of taking strategy or a tragic situation and being able to show goodness in it and helping others get through it, right?
Sure.
So that's not something I ever thought that would be a direction that God would put me and I think even others in my family through, right? But I'm grateful for it because it's something that happens often. It's becoming more prevalent in today's society, and I hope that my story around my family can maybe even prevent others from considering something like that, or most importantly help get others through it. So
For sure. Yeah, that's one of the big things that I that I tell people all the time is like the pain and the suffering and the hardship that you've been through in your life, like God's just not going to let it go to waste. Like he is going to use that. Like you in 10 years might meet somebody that's in the same spot that you're in right now, but you've lived through it and you can help them walk through it too.
Yeah.
Because that's part of our purpose. So I commend you for using that.
Got
for
really
sure.
serious. I didn't mean to make it super
No,
serious, but
that's totally fine.
I mean, there's so many
Serious
people
is
that
good.
Yeah.
that bring things up to me where I'm like, I can't relate, but I'll be here for you. And I
Yeah.
love having friends that I can be like,
Absolutely.
you know what? I know somebody that you might want to talk to, and
Yeah.
never discredit that. So
For sure. For me, and, mine's a pretty serious one too. A few months ago, I did my first funeral as a pastor, and the people, like the main family, ended up getting to the funeral late. So we started a little bit later with the funeral, about 45-ish minutes. Well, whenever we were done and they were eating in the lobby, I was actually getting ready to go, and they brought this guy to me that had just shown up to the church that ended up just having all these prayer requests and all these questions about God. And I got to share Jesus, got to answer all of his questions. I hope he's still doing well, but we just got to have that conversation, and he ended up accepting Jesus within this conversation. And looking back on it, if that main family hadn't shown up the 45 minutes late, I would have already been gone. I would have already left at that point by the time that guy got there. So God used all of that and geared the direction towards, all right, well, I'm going to bring this person in whenever you thought you were supposed to be leaving because the funeral was supposed to start at this time. So, yeah, huge blessing, really cool. But that is definitely how recently I've seen God give direction within my life.
yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
absolutely. Let's go to the flip side, the other part. So talked about the meaningless life, there was direction, and now we're going to talk about purpose. So in what ways have you seen God give you purpose? Maybe it's through the gifts and the skills and the strengths that he's giving you. How have you used those as a purpose for God and his kingdom?
I mean, I don't want to brag, but I am really good with telling terrible jokes.
very much are. I'm very good at being stone-faced during those jokes, for the most part. Sometimes you catch me off guard.
But I think, like, just to kind of piggyback off that theme, positivity is really high for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like my own remedy of getting through a lot of trauma throughout my life, too. And I try to just lean into being vulnerable and real and authentic and fun and just bring positive energy.
Yeah, for sure.
In everything that I do. And trust me, I have my moments where I'm not so positive and I'm the exact opposite. But I just try to lean into that, right? Like I don't want to be anything else but what I feel, and what I feel in my heart is just joy and thankfulness, and right, because I have to focus on the goodness, because if I think about all the hurt that has gone on throughout my life, it would break me. So I think that's my purpose. One of my purposes, right? I think we have so many, but it's to just be weird. I'm so weird.
Well, you said joy, and joy is one of the fruits of the Spirit. So you are modeling that to others, especially in a world where we need some more joy, especially in this season. For a lot of people, this Christmas season is not easy.
No.
So having that positivity and that joy to show to others is joy is very contagious.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
In
So
the most annoying way.
Honestly, mine's the same, Layla, is the joy. Like, everywhere that I'm at right now in life, like serving at this church, the 2 jobs that I work, so at the dealership, at the coffee shop, just the way that I handle and respond to adversity, and just like being thankful and like still keeping a positive mindset. Like, I feel like that is one of the main purposes that I'm here, is to showcase, like, because we live in a very negative world. Like, it's so easy to get mad and angry and frustrated and all those things, right? I think that I'm supposed to show people, like, you don't have to handle it that way.
Yeah.
And things can be hard and challenging, but you can keep a positive mindset and a thankful heart through them.
Yeah. I always pick up like a sense of like calmness from you. Like, you make me feel, it's hard to explain, but calm is like the first word that comes to mind. Like, because for me, like we talk about this too, I'm like, wah, and then when I'm talking to Lexy, I'm like, I'm just so chill and like calm and cool. Like I don't know, it's something about
That's a
your
good compliment.
energy.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're very easy to talk to.
Yes.
very
Yeah.
calming.
You're a very welcoming person.
Yeah, and I feel like I get everybody that I talk to, regardless of how long I've known you, I feel like people just open up and like
Yeah.
share crap with me.
Well, exactly. With
like
the girls that
That
you
happened
talked
this
to
morning.
today.
No,
Yeah.
this like getting
like-
waiting for my coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
it's-
and like the amount of salespeople, like dudes that I work with at the dealership, that are like, I don't tell people this, and they just like word vomit on me. I'm like, this is awesome. Like
Yeah, it's that energy.
I love that people just want to talk to me about stuff,
Yeah.
and because like I wanna talk about hard crap and be vulnerable and honest and truthful, but I also want to like listen and take it to heart and like not get stuck in the negatives, but like bring some positives out of it, and
Yeah, absolutely.
and I feel the silliness. Like I'm not gonna just sit there and be like, oh, so serious.
Yeah,
That's
Right.
also like, yeah, yeah.
I love that.
For sure.
Good.
Do you want to go? Do you want me to go?
I'll go.
Okay.
I mean, I hate to make this just keep adding on, but I try to find the positive in everything because
Yeah.
the world's too full of it. On social media, a bunch of people are like, they call me the nicest person in all of our Twitter group because I'm old and I use Twitter still. That's what all the kids. That's what kids tell me. I will never call it that. But it's one of those things where, like, when you just post something, people are like, "You like everything." I was like, "I don't post about stuff I don't like because I don't want to bring negativity into it." The world's too full of it. Like every single review you see might be, it's always trying to break something down to build something up. And I was like, no, we can build this up by not knocking on this or putting that down or anything like that. So I try to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where, like you guys said, unfortunately, the world is not positive all the time. And positivity is infectious and leads to joy and leads to fun conversations. But also when you're positive, people want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And they will open up, and that's where God gives you that chance to have those hard and difficult conversations, along with being weird and fun too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I feel like you make everything cool. Like if Andy says,
Oh, please.
says something about
I
it or
wish.
does something with it, it's cool.
okay, if that's the
Andy
case,
knows it, then I'm
Andy's
doing
cool. It's the first time that's
I could
ever been said.
imagine whenever you guys did your big gift and small gift for your small group that they were all eagerly listening to what you had to say. 'Cause you
were-
definitely had a big gift.
I
and small.
waited, and they were like it came around, and they were like, well, I was like, I'll start with the small. They're like, no, we want to hear what the big gift is. I was like, I'll start with the small gift.
What were your
Make
what were
'em
your
build.
gifts?
The gifts.
Yeah.
Small one. I just wanted a new Xbox gaming headset. That was a small one. Big one. What did I say? I think I joked around saying a PS5 because most of them have them already, and I have an Xbox, and it's just extravagant that I don't need. But I did say a big 75-inch TCL QLED TV, and they were all like, "That's what I want." I was like, "All right, chill out. Just, you don't want that, But it was fun.
For sure. For me to answer this question, I could easily piggyback off of you guys, but to preface this, I want, like, this is all God who has helped strengthen my faith throughout this process. But I feel like one of my purposes right now is to share a story of crazy faith. Whenever I tell people I moved up here for a job
I love that.
from South Carolina, they immediately look at me and went, "You moved from South Carolina? What the heck are you doing?"
To Michigan?
And then I tell them what the job is, and then they think I'm even crazier because I'm a pastor at a church, and they're like, "Well, why you were living by the beach? You didn't have to worry about snow or shoveling anything." I'm like, "Well, I feel like God placed this on my heart, and I get to share that story of what I call it crazy faith, and that's all because of God strengthening me in my faith through this process." But I feel like that is one of my purposes right now, is to share that testimony.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're definitely here for a reason.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know if Chelsea tells you this, but I tell her like probably monthly a couple times. Like you two were placed here,
oh yeah,
and it like so intentionally.
I know for sure why they're here.
So intentionally.
to relieve Andy.
I thank God every day.
No.
But just like the way that both of you have, even just in my own life, like you and your wife have been such blessings for me, and I know I'm not the only one that feels that way.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I second that. Personally, I have absolutely loved getting to know both of you. But I've told you this before too. It was like the perfect timing because we were going through such challenging things through with my oldest, especially like coming out of COVID, and it was tough topics, right?
Yeah.
Things around like, I don't know if I why I'm here. I don't feel like I shouldn't live anymore again, like deep. And I'm like, oh, this is like my thing. Like, I gotta help you, right? Like, I'm trying to get through this with my own daughter. And then you guys came in and a couple, youth groups, and just immediately just turning around her behavior and her outlook on life. And like,
That's so cool. I didn't
her
know that.
heart just changed. And I think it's not just you and Chelsea, it's everybody,
Yeah.
all of the volunteers and the other young adults that come to youth group. But it's an environment that you guys shape and mold. And I know I'm not the only parent that feels that way. So
Well, thank you for your encouragement. That's very kind.
we just have to make sure you never leave. Ever.
You hear that, Chelsea? I took them hostage, and now they're taking us hostage.
Like, I will come.
Chelsea can go. You have to stay. No, I'm saying- she wouldn't want me. She
We're
want
a
me to say
package
that.
deal.
I know you are. She's like the second sister I never wanted.
Oh.
I'm kidding. I love her to death.
As always, one of the things that we started last week that we want to continue. So we had these questions, like the one that we had. In what ways have you seen God give you direction? And the one we just had, in what ways have you seen God give you purpose? We encourage you to answer those yourself, because you can go and see the testimony that God has given you up to this point. Hindsight is always 20/20. You can see what God is doing. So I highly encourage you to answer those questions yourself. You can even put them down in the chat, because we want to be able to dialogue with you too. You might not be able to be a part of this face-to-face conversation, but because of technology, we can always continue to have this conversation. Now, before we go, if you have any more questions about today's message or anything else to do with the Bible, you can go to my3c.org. You can submit a question through there, totally anonymous. If you want more information, though, or you don't want it shared on the post show, you can just put your name on there and just say, hey, don't share this on the post show. I would just like a little bit more information about this. We can most definitely do that for you. We also have some Christmas Eve services coming up on December 23rd. We have a 2:30, a 4, and a 5:30. And then on December 24th, which is Christmas Eve, a Sunday morning, we have an 8:30, a 10, and an 11:30. So we really hope that you guys come and join us for one of those identical Christmas Eve services. Those are all the announcements. Now, before we go, I said we were going to do it at the beginning. Andy, give us a Christmas movie review.
Christmas movie.
Christmas movie review.
All right, Home Alone 2, because it's easy and everybody.
That's literally what I was thinking in my head. I was like, if you can't think of one,
We're on the
I'm
same
being dead
wavelength,
serious. I was
Joshy.
going to say Home Alone 2.
Whoa.
Home Alone 2, while not as
Dude,
good
you
as
guys
the
were
first
on the
one.
same wavelength. That's
We are.
crazy.
I think it's because we talked about it
We did
last
talk about
week.
it. But while not as good as the first, because the
of
first is
course.
the
Yep.
original, there's still a lot that I like about the second one, even though it there's some things that line up. It's like, really, his family's gone, but he can get in the house. That's fine. The actual thing I like about the second one more is the stunts and the gags were ratcheted up to like an 11.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, we lit his head on fire in the first one. His whole body's going to be on fire in the second one. So it's just ridiculously goofy. And it's one, we always watch Home Alone 1 and 2 Christmas Day with my family. And it's just, so, yeah.
Okay, so speaking of Home Alone 1,
Yep.
I watched it last night with some family members, and I had never noticed this before, but when Kevin gets in a fight in the kitchen when like the whole family's in town,
Yep.
and like milk gets spilled and soda gets spilled and everybody's like crazy cleaning up, and the dad like grabs paper towel and wipes stuff and then throws it away. He throws away Kevin's ticket. In the garbage can.
Really?
And
Yes.
you can see his name on it.
And the next
So it's
day
like-
when they pass him out,
It's like
there's not a ticket.
there's not a ticket for Kevin because it got thrown away.
Yep.
Which is probably why, they're in the airport and like they don't even think twice about it because they don't have an extra ticket to give their
I got
kid.
like chills because I was like, I didn't realize that.
Wow.
So silly. I was
Yeah.
just
Little
Really
Easter
cool. Really cool Easter egg.
I was like,
Very cool.
whoa, I never
sure.
noticed
Yep.
that.
For sure. Well, there you go. Go watch Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2 this week. They're fantastic movies. They're some of my favorite. I know if my wife is listening, she's going to be watching them this week. So for like the fourth time this holiday season already.
Oh my gosh.
So, but anyways, we'll let you guys go. We hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. Maybe you'll tune in. We hope to see you at our Wednesday Q&A. But if not, we'll see you guys next Sunday here again for our service and post show. See you guys.